One of the puzzling features of Tisha B'Av is that on Tisha B'Av, one of the reasons we fast is the destruction of the second temple, and the second Beis HaMikdash was destroyed because of the Aveira, the sin of Sinat Chinam, literally hatred for free. If you think about it, that's an oxymoron, that's a contradiction in terms. If you hate somebody, ostensibly you should have a reason. And why would one hate somebody for no reason whatsoever? Somebody, God forbid, kills one of your family, Hashem Yirachem, so you have a very good reason to hate them. Somebody steals all your money, you have a good reason to hate them. But why would somebody hate someone else for no reason whatsoever? And really, this is what we're going to be speaking about tonight. The basis of all sinat chinam, baseless hatred, is a misunderstanding of the world. A person can look at this world and he can think to himself, he can look at somebody else and he go, you know something, you are driving my car. If you weren't in this world, I could have that car. You are married to my wife. You are breathing my air. There's a mistaken, way of looking at the world, that what somebody else has in some way impinges in my potential to have that thing. We're going to see later on there's a chazal that says nobody can touch what is destined for somebody else by a hair's breadth. Each one of us is on our own monorail. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has put each one of us on our own rail, our own train line. And just like a train can never be on somebody else's train line, God forbid if he does, it's a terrible accident. So even though those rail lines may pass, may be very parallel, and there's just a couple of feet or maybe less that separates those two trains speeding. Nevertheless, one train can't touch what's set aside for the other. Similarly, one human being cannot touch what's set aside for some other person. The fact that that guy has this car, and if he wasn't here, you wouldn't have that car. It could well be that if that guy wasn't destined to have that car would never have rolled off the assembly line in Detroit. And if they still make cars in Detroit, probably not. In Seoul or wherever it is that they make cars now. It's a misunderstanding of reality. The fact that something exists for that person and that person only. HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates everything in this world for a specific purpose. Each and every thing has an address on it and a time stamp on it. And to think otherwise is a lack of bitachon, is a lack of trust in Hashem. All jealousy, and that's what we're going to speak about tonight, is based on this misapprehension, that's the word. That if it wasn't for the fact that you were here, I would have that thing. No, you wouldn't. That thing might not even exist. We spoke about in previous weeks the idea that Rav Dessler has in Kuntres HaChesed, that the fundamental motivating active constituent part in the personality, there are two of them. The koyach hanatina and the koyach hanatila. The koyach hanatina, the power to give and the power to take. The power to give is a godly power. It's what we say, B'Tselem Elokim. We make ourselves like Hashem when we give. Of course, as we said before, we can never be totally like Hashem because Hashem is the ultimate giver in as much as that you can't give anything back to Him. But as much as we can give and as much as we do give, we become more like Him. We become more godly, more holy, more elevated. And the other power is the koyach hanatila, the desire to take. And the desire to take is very much linked up with this idea of jealousy, the belief that what I don't have could be mine. And as we said in previous weeks, the koyach hanatila, the desire, the power to take, is an interesting thing because it really doesn't focus on anything specific. It's the desire to take what I don't have and make it part of my circumference, to bring it within the corral of my possessions. And once I've done that, it loses that delectable sweetness that all chemda, every desire for something, be it something physical, something which is osir to me, ish is ish, something to look at something which I shouldn't look at. The pleasure is more in the lack of it than in the enjoying of it. Because once you have it, you just want more and more and more. The koyach hanatila is insatiable. The power to take is insatiable. It's never ever satisfied. And punkt verkehrt. The more a person stokes his desire to take, the more that desire becomes greater and greater and greater. Let's begin. Again, as I said, we're in chapter 11. We're going to be talking about kina, jealousy. And really, if you see this, really what I've been saying is the first thing he says, Gam hi eina ella chistron yedia v'sichlus. Envy too is no more than the result of foolishness and the lack of understanding. A lack of understanding of the way the world really is. A lack of understanding is that what I have is what God has given me, and what I don't have, Hashem has not given me for very good reasons. As we said before, Ki ein hamakane marviach klum la'atzmoi. Because an envious person doesn't gain anything from his envy. Punkt verkehrt. His envy eats him up. And he doesn't cause any loss. He doesn't cause any. V'gam lo mafsid lemi shehu miskane boy. He doesn't cause any loss to the person that he's jealous of. Ve'eno la mafsid la'atzmo. All the jealous person does is causes himself damage. He causes himself loss. A loss of time, a loss of menuchas nefesh, a loss of the true perspective of the world. Ukamama hakosav, as it says, we mentioned before, shezacharti in Oyev, in Eov, excuse me, ufose tomid kino. Envy will kill the peta, the foolish one. Envy can kill a person. We talk about a person being eaten up with envy. A disease, God forbid, eats a person up from the inside. Cancer, la'olenu, literally eats a person. It uses the cells, the healthy cells, to devour a person. And envy is exactly the same way. Envy takes everything which is sweet in a person's life and it turns it into a poison. Everything that a person has, he's going to say this in a second, all the good things that a person has become sour to him in the light of his desire for more, for something else, or what he doesn't have, for that other person has. He can't even appreciate, not only just can't appreciate what he has, it turns it into poison, it turns it into gall and wormwood. V'omnam yesh mi sichluso rabba kol kach ad she'im yireh lechaveiro eza tova. There's a type of person whose foolishness, whose envy is so great that if he sees anybody else with anything good, he becomes disheartened. Is ashesh ba'atzmoi. He gets disheartened. He's fed up. It spoils his life. V'yidag, and he worries. V'yitztai, and it gives him pain. Ad she'afilu hatova shebiyodo lo yehanuchu mitzah ma shehu roya bein b'yad chaveru. As I said before, to the extent that he doesn't get any pleasure from the good things that he has because of the anguish of what the other person has. And I'm going further here to say, and this is what I think really Shlomo Melech says, as he quotes him now from Mishlei, Urakav atzomos kina. Kina rots the bones. Quite literally, it takes all the good that a person has and sours it. It's like when you drop something into good milk and it turns the milk sour. It spoils everything you have, and it turns it into a spiritual poison. There's a lesser level. This is the Mesilas Yesharim's way to start with the most severe examples of the particular flaw that a person has, and then bring it down to lesser levels. So that's the worst level, where basically envy eats a person up. And again, this is all based on the fact that he really doesn't understand how the world runs. It's a lack of bitachon in Hashem. Hashem knows who to give what he needs to give to. You know better than Hashem who should be getting this car, who should be married to this woman.
I mean, at the end of the day, this could help, like, for the intellectual part of kina, but at the end of the day, kina is something that, like, it beats in the heart, basically.
So you're asking that at the end, this is an intellectual approach to kina, but kina is something which is emotional.
And how are you supposed to fight that?
How are you supposed to fight emotions? Well, you could ask me really with any media, it's the same thing. And the answer is that a Yetzer Hara is a malach. It says that if a Kadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't help a person, lo yazro, then he wouldn't be able to dominate. Because the Yetzer Hara is much, much stronger than a person. It doesn't say anywhere that the Yetzer Tov is a malach. So what is the Yetzer Tov? The Yetzer Tov is the seichel. The Yetzer Tov is the seichel, is the intellect, is the common sense of a person. A person has to get hold of himself and give himself a good talking to. Recognize the feelings, but say these feelings are not valid, and the intellect is the only way that he will be able to put this kina in its correct perspective and see how bad it is for him.
So that'll help. I'm saying, that is, so at the end of the day, you can't really control the emotion part. You could just control the intellect to make sure it doesn't overflow.
No, you can talk to you can use your intellect to talk to your emotions and say, this is not an appropriate emotion. This is not right. This is not right to feel this. And I'm not going to say it happens overnight, but this is the process of a person using his intellect, which is a lot of what this book is about, is to think. I mean, the whole idea is to hear us, is we spoke about last week. I told you this incident where I lost it basically for no reason. You have to think before, think afterwards, think, like you have a feeling, let's say. And you're right, it's very normal. It's not very normal. It's human nature. Somebody, let's say, gets this amazing shidduch. The Rosh Hashiva's daughter. Oh, wow. It's very few people who can't just, and he's going to say, for a split second have this feeling of, but no, a person has to intellectually, yadata hayom v'shevosa elav avecha. There has to be das, there has to be, hang on a second, HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. He knows what he's doing. I trust Hashem. I believe in Hashem, not only that I need ma'amin, but I boteach. Bitachon, what's it called? Bitachon, trust, is belief in practice. It's not just that I know there's a God. I believe that he runs everything, and I know what he's doing is the best for me and the best for this person, the best for the world. This shidduch is on another railway. It's nothing to do with me. And okay, it's not going to work immediately, but if a person walks through his life with Shavisi Hashem Lenegdi Somid, and he's understanding, he trusts that Hashem is guiding him, his Mitzada, his Mitzada Gover, he prepares the steps of man. Every step that I'm taking is Hashem is guiding me. I'm getting exactly what I need and what is good for me, and I have nothing, lo yechsa, I lack nothing. If a person, again, these things have to be inculcated time and time again. But this will help a person to, when he sees something which his natural instinct is to be jealous, he'll stop it. He'll say, no, that's not right. And eventually, when a person gets to this stage and higher stages along the path of the just, then he is living in that reality to the extent that he doesn't even start to get jealous. Now, that's a very high level. But certainly, we on our level could at least make that effort to strengthen ourselves and intellectually into understanding and to have the everything that is happening is what Hashem wants to happen. And if this shidduch didn't come my way, that is because this shidduch is not for me, and never was for me. And Hashem didn't make mistakes. He didn't put the wrong address on the birthday card or whatever it was. He didn't send this girl out on a date with the boy by mistake. The shadchan didn't get the phone numbers mixed up in his Rolodex. Yeah. Anyway, so as he says there, Yesharim she'enam mitztarim v'kohavim kol kach, as we said, afal pikein yargishu ba'atzmam ezet tzar. There are some people who don't get completely, so to speak, lose it in their jealousy and are consumed by it to the extent that it spoils their own lives. But they have a twinge. Ulefachos yiskara ruchom. They get a little bit upset about, a little bit dejected. Barosam echad ole eze maila yesero. To see somebody, who gets promoted over them, somebody who's given a better shear than them, to teach on a higher level than them, somebody who can, gets a prize for something where you would have liked to have that. Im lo yeh me'avov. So certainly if that's not from a group of people that he likes, if it's not from somebody within his immediate circle who is extremely close to. Like Baruch Hashem, when a person gets married, he has children, so their hatzlacha is your hatzlacha. It's a very, very stupid, very selfish person who's jealous of his children, because you feel that's kind of a natural thing, that a person, when he's very close to somebody, he feels that their success is their success, and therefore it doesn't bother him. But outside that circle, is he saying, so it's difficult. V'kol shekain immei osam asher ein lo ava rabba imohu. All the more so if it's a group of people that he doesn't particularly like, he doesn't really respect them very much. He thinks, what's this guy? Hello, how come this guy is getting this, whatever it is? Kol shekain im yeh ger me'eretz acheres. It doesn't mean a ger tzedek. It means all the more so if it's somebody like a foreigner, somebody who's distant from him. In other words, the principle is the more distant a person is from the person, the easier it is to fall into this trap of jealousy. V'tireh shebefihem. You see that a person is in their mouths, on the outside. Efsha sheyomru devorim kesmechim omodim al tovoso. The outside says, "Wow, I'm so happy for so and so that he got that new house." But really, he's just so happy. he's going through the motions, because I think a person understands that socially unacceptable to show jealousy outside, but he feels it inside. Ach libam rofer bekirbam, but their hearts are tittering inside them. They're very upset about it. V'hu davar yera al harov barov b'nei adam. As he says, this is something which is very common. Most people feel this to some extent or another. Ki afal pi shelo yiyu balei kina mamash. Even though you can't say these are balei kina, these are jealous people. But it's a very rare individual who doesn't feel a twinge, as they say, of jealousy, or even if it's not I was thinking there are two kinds of jealousies in the world. We're going back to the time when Russia was communist. I don't know if it's still communist, but the communists, there are two kind of jealousies fuel the world. It's an idea I had. There's the jealousy of the Russians and the jealousy of the Americans. The jealousy of the Russians goes like this. You think you're going to have a car, I'm going to make sure you don't even have a bicycle. That's the jealousy of the Russians. And the American jealousy goes like this. You think you're going to have a car, I'm going to have a car so big, I'm going to stuff your car in my trunk of my car. They're both jealousies, but there's a jealousy which is, if one can say one is better than the other, certainly has been more successful. Because capitalism seems to me to have stimulated much more good around the world than communism. But they're both based on jealousy. Okay, but most people do feel a jealousy. They don't want... really, it's the basis, there's a kind of jealousy that says, which is the Russian kind of jealousy, the communist jealousy, which is, I'm jealous of you and I want to make sure you don't have it. Or I'm jealous of you and I'm going to have something much better than yours. To me, if one could say that there's a healthy jealousy, of course there's no such thing as a healthy jealousy, but of the two, it seems to me the second is infinitely preferable. But it's still jealousy, and it's still a misunderstanding of the way Hashem runs the world. It's a lack of bitachon, and ultimately a lack of emunah, that there's a God in the world. I mean, if there's a God in the world, then, he doesn't know what he's doing. Hello? So, ki afal pi, shelo yihu balei kina mamish. As we said, even though that people like this may not be burned up with jealousy, right? The green-eyed monster. Nevertheless, omnam lo niku mimenu legamri. Most people are not completely clean, and of course we're talking about nikias, cleanliness, ridding ourselves of not just the bad actions, but the bad midos, the uprooting from our hearts these improper thoughts. Kol shekain im balei emunosoi, matzliach bo, shekava kol uman soni lechavero. All the more so if we're talking about professional competition. You see this in footballers and runners. You look at the Olympic Games where people, they lose the race and they fall on the ground. They're in tears. The world just came to the end. Hello, what happened? Somebody just ran a little bit faster than you. But if you're in competition with something, balei amuna, craftsmanship, or I don't know, the Oscars, the Oscars are coming up now. You see the people who when they win, they go crazy, or footballers, the champagne and everything. Yeah, hello, what did you actually do? You were able to kick this little piece of leather around a field better than the other people. And if you couldn't do it, if you lost, this bit of leather got stuck in the net and you went, that's it, the end of your world. It's like life isn't worth living. It's really silly, but it's human nature. Because a bal emuna, bal umnosoi, and somebody who has an umnus, a professional qualification, he doesn't like other people to be successful. There's a natural jealousy amongst professionals, whatever that profession is, tennis players, guitar players, politicians, you name it, car drivers, racing drivers. But to see somebody else do better than you is much more difficult if that's your profession. They don't know and they don't understand. This is exactly the point I'm trying to make. It's a lack of knowledge, a lack of understanding. That's a Gemara in Yomo that says, nobody can touch that which is set aside for his fellow, even to a hair's breadth. That's the moshel of the two trains. What's for me is for me, and what's for you is for you, and that's that. That's it. V'hakol kasher l'kol Hashem hu. And as I said before, everything comes to Hashem, from Hashem, in accordance with His infinite understanding and His unfathomable wisdom. Nobody can understand the cheshbonos of Hashem. Nobody can understand why this person got this thing and this person got something else who didn't get what he wanted. Maybe it looked to me like he should have won and the other guy shouldn't have. No, you have no idea. You don't understand the cheshbon. You don't understand the calculus. Hinei lo haya lehem tam litzta'er b'tovas reihu klal. If a person could understand that, or at least even if he doesn't understand it, and he can't understand it, because that's the wisdom of Hashem. But when a person believes, he trusts Hashem, so he understands that there's a process at work that is beyond his ken, beyond his understanding. V'hu ma sheyoad lonu hanavi. This is what the prophet prophesies for us, to tell us that alazman ha'osid, in the future, when shalaman tieh tovas Yisrael shlema, then the good will be perfect for the Jewish people. And how will that be? Yaktim HaKadosh Baruch Hu lahosir milvavenu hamida hamaguna hazor. So Hashem will remove this disgusting mida, character trait of jealousy from our hearts. Va'oz lo ye'atzah le'echad b'tovas ha'echer. Nobody will feel pain at somebody else's success. V'gam lo yitztorech hamatzliach lahastir atzmo. Nor will a successful person need to hide, to conceal his success, to keep it covered up. U'devorav mipnei hakina, and from jealousy. V'uma shekosa, that says in Yesharim, in the time to come, v'sora kinas Ephraim, v'tzora Yehuda, and Hashem will, the envy of Ephraim will be removed. Ephraim was the northern kingdom, and they were jealous of Yehuda, and Yehuda will not envy Yehuda, and Yehuda will not make Ephraim suffer. There was that antagonism between the two of them. That's all going to be gone in Klal Yisrael. All of the Sina and all of the divisiveness in Klal Yisrael, which a lot of it which is based on Sina, will go, and there will be peace amongst Klal Yisrael and in the world. Ephraim, as I said, V'sara kinas Ephraim, V'sara Yehuda yikoresu. Ephraim lo yikane es Yehuda, V'Yehuda lo yotza es Ephraim. And this is the peace and serenity. Hua ashalva ashalva asher lemalchei hashares. This is the peace and serenity that the angels, the malchei hashares, have. Asher kulam smeichim ba'avotosam. All of them are happy in their particular work. Ish al mikno mekoma. Everyone in his place, every malach, with his own different job. V'ein echad miskane b'chavero klal. No angel is jealous that one angel is on a higher level than him. Ki chulam yodim. That's the point, or emes. When a person knows the emes, when a person sees that what he's doing is his own unique part in creation, which nobody else can do, and it may be that somebody else, quote unquote, is higher than him. But when a person sees the truth, sees the achdus of Hashem, and he sees his part in it, so his part, he feels happy with the part that he has to play. That's the part that Hashem gave me. So, ki kulam yodim ha'emes la'amito va'az alezim, they're going to be happy alatov on the good asher biyodom, the good they have in their hands. He's samech b'chelkoi, v'smeichim b'chelkom. They're happy with what they have. Okay, next week we'll carry on to a similar idea, companion traits, as he puts it, of envy. The companion sort to envy is chemda, desire, and taiva. And B'ezrat Hashem will carry on with that next week.